Good afternoon. Isn't it great to celebrate excellent and important work? And there is more to come. As the chairman of the Forster Award Committee, working with Jack Homer, Khalid Syed, John Sturman, Kimberly Thompson, we have this year decided to hand out the Lifetime Achievement Award. As for next year's award, I urge you all to think about excellent work in this field, either for the Forster Award or the Lifetime Achievement Award, and send those nominations. Go to the Society webpage. The System Dynamics Society occasionally recognizes outstanding contributions to the field through a Lifetime Achievement Award. This award is given to an individual based on a career spanning decades of contributions to system dynamics. It contrasts with the J. Wright Forster Award, which recognizes a single piece of work completed in the prior 5 years. The Lifetime Achievement Award has only been given 4 times before, to Geoff Coyle in 1998, Diana Fisher in 2011, John Richardson in 2013, and Jürgen Randers in 2014. It's an honor for me today, on behalf of the Forster Award Committee, to present the 5th Lifetime Achievement Award in our history to Professor Ali Mashayekhi. So Ali, please stand here while we read the citation. He gets this award for nearly 40 years of leadership in building a remarkably strong foothold for system dynamics in his home country, Iran. Congratulations, Ali. Sure. Ali will speak about how he built prestigious academic institutions in which system dynamics is a central method of analysis. Ali's career is as taken out of Forster's teaching. He has a strong academic background with a large number of publications, including 4 books in Farsi about oil and development, management, learning, and now also system dynamics. He also advises government agencies, including the Iranian Ministries of Power, Heavy Industry, Housing, and the Plan and Budget Organization. And he consults extensively with companies, including the Iran National Petrochemical Company, the conglomerate Mostasafan Foundation, and McKinsey & Company in the US. Finally, he has changed system structure by building new institutions, including founding and serving as the president of Nazm Avaran Management Consulting Company in Tehran. And as many of you know, he also served as the president of the System Dynamics Society in 2001. 30 years ago, in 1987, Ali started teaching system dynamics at the prestigious Sharif University of Technology. Since then, his system dynamics course has regularly enrolled about 120 students per year. In 1989, he established a new educational institution, the Institute for Research in Planning and Development, which later became the Institute for Management and Planning Studies. In 1991, he launched a Journal of Development and Planning, published quarterly in Farsi. In 1998, he founded the Graduate School of Management and Economics at Sharif University, which teaches system dynamics as a central method. On a personal note, at the master's program in system dynamics at the University of Bergen, I have enjoyed working with excellent students from Iran over many years, testifying to the quality and quantity of system dynamics in Iran under Ali's leadership. One of Ali's former students is familiar to many of you, Professor Hasir Rahmandad, who received the J. Wright Forster Award in 2015 and who exemplifies the impact of Ali's teaching and mentorship for students. I invite Professor Rahmandad to the podium to say more about Ali and the Iranian experience. And
thank you, Erling. So, in fall of 1997, I was a clueless sophomore in Sharif University, Iran, when I heard about a course that an MIT-trained faculty of our department was going to offer in systems analysis for the first time after a while, and a course that I should not miss. That course shaped my career and changed my life. I was lucky to learn from Ali then, and happily, I have been one of many. Ali's introductory course in system dynamics is extremely popular in a predominantly engineering school with bright students hungry for understanding their society and economy through a rigorous analytical lens. After taking this course, some decide to change their careers and study management, economics, or other social sciences at the graduate level, and many more start to see the world differently, making sense of complex social problems through the lens of stocks, flows, and feedback. Ali has always cared deeply about Iran, has reached the conclusion that his leverage lies in educating future policymakers. Yet, his genius is not only in being a superb teacher and modeler, but in building impactful educational institutions that teach the right stuff. You could say Mashayekhi's principle is teach a class and you influence dozens of students, build a program and you touch thousands. So even though universities are conservative and full of inertia, Ali has made a career of spearheading institutional innovation in academia. After finishing his PhD in system dynamics under the late and great J. Forrester, he returned to Iran and started a new industrial engineering department at Isfahan University, a master's program there in engineering socioeconomic systems, a master's program in systems management at Sharif University, and later the Institute for Management and Planning Studies, which for years has served as the premier training ground for Iranians with interest in policy. He did all this while the country was undergoing revolution and war and facing resource scarcity. Later, Ali somehow convinced Sharif University, Iran's most prestigious technical school, to start the College of Management and Economics, where since 2000, he and his colleagues have been admitting and training some of the best talent in the country. The cumulative impact of these initiatives are immense. For example, just in the past 5 years, former system dynamics students of Ali have joined the faculty of many top business and economics programs, including those at Stanford, Berkeley, MIT, Kellogg, London Business School, and Yale, among others. Moreover, several have returned to Iran after getting their PhDs in the West, some staffing the same institutions they graduated from. More important and harder to measure is the impact of thousands of Iranian managers and policymakers, some at the highest levels of the government, who have studied in those institutions. Now add to that Ali's many other engagements with the industry, policy circles, and public, from consulting to membership in company boards to his online system dynamics course, and you start to see why some Iranian students think system dynamics is the most prominent subject taught in every business school worldwide. Iran is a developing country on a long and complicated path towards more open institution and shared prosperity. I can think of few people who have done more in building that path than Ali has. Having combined pragmatism and optimism with systems thinking to change the world for 40 years, Ali inspires us not only to practice system dynamics, but also to live it. I'm honored to congratulate Ali on his achievements and on receiving the System Dynamics Lifetime Achievement Awards.
I'd like to read what it says on this plaque. Lifetime Achievement Award presented to Ali Mashayekhi for furthering the field of system dynamics over his lifetime, July 2017. Congratulations.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear members of System Dynamics Society, It's a great honor and privilege to receive this award. I am truly humbled by and thankful for the recognition. This could not have been possible without the help and support of many people, some of whom are here tonight. So thank you. I would like to take this opportunity to briefly talk about my journey and share some of my experiences that may be helpful for the path forward in the society. I entered Sloan in fall of 1973 as a PhD student to study planning and control, then chaired by Professor Michael Morton. Right before I left Iran, the vice chancellor of my alma mater, a bright MIT graduate, advised me to major in system dynamics with Professor Jay Forrester. Once I started at MIT, still a planning and control major, I took a system dynamics course to see what this new field is about. The first course had a profound impact on me, and right then I decided to change my major. And thus, with Mike's permission and Jay's acceptance, began my journey in system dynamics. I was lucky and very privileged to learn and work with Jay Forrester. His lectures, his talks shaped my deep appreciation and love for ST. He became my advisor and my mentor. His clear thinking, his deep insights in dynamics of socioeconomic systems, and his brilliant mind to pick and highlight the major points in any subject or discussion all helped me gain deeper understanding of the field and develop my modeling skills. Through our Friday morning study group, a few of my fellow PhD students, including David Anderson and George Richardson, also played a significant role in enhancing my understanding of system dynamics. We met every Friday to present and discuss our work in a very positive and constructive manner so we could all learn from and with each other. To this day, I encourage my own students to hold similar discussion groups, so it doesn't have to be on Fridays, it could be on Saturdays. When I was at MIT, the national model was a major project in system dynamics group, and most PhD students worked on a topic within that model. But I wanted to define and work on a development problem related to Iran. So despite some serious warning from Professor Forrester that defining my own problem would be a risky undertaking, I may not be able to complete it in time, he said, I went ahead. Fortunately, my research went well, and as you all know now, I did graduate. My thesis examined the strategy of economic development based on exhaustible resources for the case of Iran. I managed to define a clear and focused dynamic problem and develop a model to Jay's satisfaction. I never forget, when I presented my model, its behavior and findings to Jay, he asked me if they were indeed the result of a model or my own drawings. When I assured him that they are the actual output, he stood up, shook my hand, and congratulated me. To me, the practice of defining a clear dynamic problem, developing a dynamic hypothesis, and then formulating a model and testing it was very crucial in development of my skills and understanding of system dynamics modeling. After obtaining my PhD, Jay asked me to join the system dynamics group at MIT and work on the National Model Project. So I began working as a research associate, but after a few months, against Jay's wish for me to stay and continue my work, I returned to Iran. This was November 1978. When Iran was in turmoil and going through a revolution, I knew the revolution would put the country in distress, and there would be a much higher need to promote rational thinking and educate people who could then help to develop the country. I decided to go back and hope to make a bigger difference there than I would if I remained here. Upon my return to Iran, I started my work at the newly funded university in Isfahan. We launched the industrial engineering program at Isfahan with help from 2 other faculty members who joined after me. But the situation in the country was far from normal. The revolution was taking over all aspects of social and political life of the country. Most of the managers at different levels and also many experts in government were either ousted or left their jobs. Universities were closing as conflicts between different political groups on campuses across the country were dominating the academic environment. Even with opportunities to return to the state, I stayed in Iran as I thought helping to develop rational thinking in the public sector and training a new generation of technocrats, especially in management and system thinking, was important to the future. In 1980, I was invited to work as an advisor to the Plan and Budget Organization of Iran, the most important planning and policy formulation organization of the Iranian government. The mission was to develop and implement the planning system for the country and educate government employees on formulating policies and plans for different economic sectors and regions. I, with a colleague who joined me, organized around 5,000 people in different ministries and government agencies throughout the country and put them through on-the-job training programs for analysis of economic conditions and driving policies and plans within the government's macroeconomic policies. That was my first involvement with the Plan and Budget Organization of Iran and was the first stepping stone for my next moves to build several educational and research institutions in Iran. The first plan we developed wasn't implemented due to the Iraq-Iran war and the uncertainty and additional chaos that the war brought. However, the planning practice had several fruitful outcomes. First, it became clear to me, and more importantly, to some of the key officials in the government, including the head of Plan and Budget Organization, that the country needs to educate a new generation of planning and policy experts. Second, my colleagues and I, who managed the planning process, built a credibility and reputation as experts in planning and policy formulation. Third, I built a constructive relationship with the head of Plan and Budget Organization and many other high officials in the government. Seeing the need for upbringing a new generation of system thinkers and policy-making experts, I seized the opportunity created by these 3 outcomes, and with some of my colleagues, developed a master program in engineering of socioeconomic systems, which was approved by the Ministry of Higher Education. Calling it an engineering program was a tactical move to dig into the talent pool that typically chooses either engineering or medicine, the two traditionally top choices in developing countries. But the title was not the only thing attracting talented students. The reputation my colleagues and I had built during the planning practice also helped. We launched the program in 1982 at the newly funded Isfahan University of Technology, admitting 40 students in the first class. The graduates of this program ended up very successful and effective in their respective careers. Among its alumni was the head of macroeconomic office of the Plan and Budget Organization, and shortly after, the deputy of that organization in economic affairs. In 1986, I transferred from Isfahan to Sharif and then came to the United States for my sabbatical. The success of the program in Isfahan and its graduates were well received, and when I returned back to Iran, I was asked to build a new institution in Tehran to spread our teaching to more people, including the employees of Plan and Budget Organization. I was put in charge of reopening the Institute of Research in Planning and Development, a key research institute that was shut down shortly after the revolution. I invited some of my friends to join me. We began taking some of the best graduates from across the country and involving them in both training and research. We also launched a quarterly journal in development and planning that is still published. For training, the Institute admitted the students to the same master program we started in Isfahan in engineering of socioeconomic systems. We also offered short training programs to government employees involved in development of public policy. The research was focused on topics central to the country's development, such as strategies for the railroad network and systems, the steel standards industry, and development of national transportation network, to name a few. We kept a high quality of teaching and research in the institute relative to other comparable institutions in the country. After a few successful years, the institute's positive impact was felt in the government, and in turn, that very successful created sensitivity and even suspicion in some that the institute's thinking, which was gravitated toward a free market economy, might not be in line with the revolution's ideology. Since the institute was affiliated with the Plan and Budget Organization, itself part of President's office, I felt a threat that with any administration change, the institute's mission might be jeopardized, in its direction change, or even shut down. To safekeep the institute from potential political risk, I suggested to the head of Plan and Budget Organization to transfer the institute to Sharif University of Technology, as universities are relatively more stable and independent from the government. But he did not share my viewpoint. Shortly thereafter, I left the country for my sabbatical leave again. And once the head of the Plan and Budget Organization was replaced in a new administration, as I feared, the institute changed its mission and line of thought, moving away from free market economy towards central planning and control economy, at the same time merging with another training institute with a mission of mass training of government employees regardless of their talent quality. When I returned from my sabbatical to Iran in 1996, my belief remained in building institutions to offer quality education in management and economics. I was at Sharif University, the best engineering school in Iran, which attracted many of the most talented Iranian high school students. to leverage this amazing young talent pool already gathering at Sharif every year, I proposed creating the new School of Management and Economics. While a few faculty supported the idea, the majority opposed creating a non-engineering program within a technical university. I spent what seemed like endless hours explaining how the management school would complement engineering education and how badly the country needs to educate its highest or brightest minds in management and economics. I used MIT and Sloan as an example in my argument. At the end, the faculty council at Sharif approved the new school, and the Graduate School of Management and Economics was founded in 1999. As it turned out, some of our alumni from the socio-economic engineering program from earlier years had chosen to continue their education, obtain their PhD, and we were able to recruit them for faculty position at the newly established school. One positive loop was closed. We set 3 objectives in the school's mission. First was to educate talented graduates. We hope to lead them either to continue their education in the top universities and become high-quality academics in management and economics in Iran, or to enter the industry and help improve the country's management and policy formulation. Our second objective was to train management and economics experts for the industry and government sectors through short training programs. And our third objective was to offer elective courses to the undergraduate engineering and science students, make them familiar with management and economics subjects, and attract them to our new school to continue their graduate studies. Fortunately, rather quickly, the new school became very popular at not just Sharif, but in the entire country. Very soon, we had a lot of students participating in our entrance exam, dropping our acceptance rate to around 1% of applicants. While engineering and science graduates from Sharif were well known to top universities in the world, our graduates in management and economics were new and with no track record. But gradually, our graduates found their ways to top universities such as MIT, the University of Chicago, LSE, Stanford, INSEAD, Northwestern, and Toronto. And those who couldn't go anywhere else ended up at Harvard. In all of the programs and institutions I developed over the years, I made sure that at least 1 or 2 system dynamic courses were taught, whether in the Industrial and Systems Engineering Department at S1 University, the Institute for Research in Planning and Development, or in the Graduate School of Management and Economics at Sharif. Today, some of the previous students have become teachers of ST in different universities across Iran. ST went from being taught at just the University of Isfahan in 1982 to now more than 20 universities offering ST courses in Iran. I'm proud to say that now Iran even has its own registered chapter of System Dynamics Society in the International System Dynamics Society, as well as in the Ministry of Higher Education in Iran. Teaching system dynamics. Over the past 35 years, I have taught more than a dozen courses in a wide variety of subjects required to launch different programs, from accounting to even econometrics, management control systems, strategy, the list goes on. Yet the only one I have taught every year without an exception is system dynamics, whether taught as a required course or an elective one. These system dynamics courses have had a significant impact on the students. In particular, the system dynamics elective for undergraduates has been a turning point in taking in talented Iranian students, most of whom traditionally chose engineering over social sciences, and attracting them towards social and management studies and modeling. Some of these students have progressed and became prominent members of System Dynamics Society like Hajir Rahmandad, Navid Ghafarzadeghan, Mohammad Mushtahizadeh, to name a few. And some others are now teaching at the top university in the world. In teaching system dynamics over the past 3 decades, I developed a course structure that I think is very effective in teaching the subject and attracting a student to the field. And as a university professor, I wouldn't sleep right tonight if I didn't try to transfer briefly that structure to you today. The first course that I teach has become the most popular elective course among undergraduates at Sharif University, and more than 100 students register for each class. The course is divided into 5 parts. System perspective and use of models is the first part. The first part focuses on teaching dynamics and system perspective and use of models in general, that I think we don't emphasize enough in our teaching. As far as I know, many of our teaching go very fast into technical aspects rather than explaining and trying students to understand the basic fundamentals of the field. The second part covers theory of structure, mapping tools, and mathematical equation and simulation. Third part covers simple system structure that creates simple dynamics such as exponential growth, overshoot, and oscillation. And for each simple structure, we discuss examples from real life in economics, natural sciences, business, politics, and social situations. The fourth part presents and discuss complex systems from previous works in the field of system dynamics. And the fifth part is modeling. That is discussed and practiced throughout different parts of the first course. We start practice modeling from when we start talking about system perspective and use of models. And it continues throughout the other part of the model. The second system dynamics course focuses on more advanced topics. In this part, we discuss classic and recent system dynamics papers published in the field. In addition, students do a modeling project by picking a real-world problem. In addition to teaching formal system dynamics courses, from several years ago, we established a voluntary group of my students who are interested in teaching system thinking in primary and middle schools by playing games and reading stories and writing stories. The group is called Asaman, meaning sky in Farsi. Volunteer students have taken system thinking courses and share the belief that we should teach system thinking to our youngsters from an earlier age. This is what Forrester thought the field should do and was promoting it himself. We have developed materials currently being used in schools. The group also is training interested school teachers in system thinking so they can teach it themselves in their classrooms. I'm hopeful to expand this activity to most schools in the country in coordination with the Ministry of Education. The joy of teaching and spreading system dynamics has been the best part of my academic career. I have gained the most joy from attracting and training talented students and spreading our valuable field in that part of the world. I think for the goal I set in 1978, I made the right decision in in returning to Iran. The best way to a peaceful world is through sound education, economic development, and creation of hope for progress and prosperity. Looking back, I was able to play a role in funding several key educational and research institutions and train some of the upcoming generation of managers and policymakers of Iran. I'm optimistic that based on what we have done in Iran during the last 3 decades, the quality of the field of management and economics in that country will change dramatically and will have considerable impact on the development and progress of the nation for years to come. And that makes me quite satisfied with the crucial decision I made in 1978. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Ali. That was absolutely wonderful and so well deserved. So this brings our wonderful award session to a close. Please exit the ballroom, enjoy some conversation. Don't forget all of Ali's students or their students who are here in the room. Please head out with Ali so that Dean can get a picture of Ali and all of his academic descendants. Thank you all, and we'll see you at the banquet.